Okay, hey everybody, this is Jackie Cox with J Cox Coaching, and I have Ray Brown here of Remax Advantage in Colorado Springs with me today. So welcome back to Fun Friday again. It is already May 12th, which is hard to believe. But I'm excited to have Ray with me here today. We're going to have a good time on our call today. And so just a brief introduction of Ray, and then we're going to get going into all the fun things we're going to talk about. So Ray escaped corporate America in 2005 when he entered the real estate industry. He built his real estate business working almost exclusively by referral. He works hard to stay top of mind by serving his current and past clients and reminding them that he is never too busy for any of their referrals. Ray enjoys gardening, directing, and performing in playing soccer, scuba, that's awesome, snorkeling, and sitting on a warm beach naturally. He and his wife, Trudi, have been married for 33 years and have 4 grown children. So Ray, welcome to our show today. I'm glad to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here. And that's a good bio. Where'd you get that?
I don't know, written by some awesome band, some awesome dude that, he's got his marketing dialed in. Awesome. Never a dull moment with Ray Brown here. So I'm glad to have you here, Ray. So we're just gonna, chat through some things. Obviously, this being Fun Friday, the first thing I like to ask people is, what do you like to do for fun? So beyond the gardening and the being on the beach, what types of things really get you jazzed up when we talk about fun and thinking about that space?
Well, I do like, performing, doing plays and theater and stuff like that. But when it's just me and I'm looking for something fun that I really enjoy doing, I'm all about Jimmy Buffett music.
Nice.
And fantasizing, daydreaming about cruising through the Caribbean on a sailboat. So for me, that's fun. It's an escapism, and I'm all about escapism, man. So that's my big deal.
That's awesome. Isn't that a book you're reading or something like that right now?
Yeah, I do have it in the room, but it's in my book bag. But it's called A Sale of Two Idiots. And and it's the second book I've read. And there are a lot of these, but it's the second book I've read where people just go, screw this corporate America world, screw having to make money, screw the big house. I'm buying a sailboat and I'm heading south. And so one couple went from Toronto all the way to the Southern Caribbean, like to Grenada, as far south as you can go. And this current couple, I'm about a fourth of the way into the book, and they just made it to the Bahamas and are just starting to head south. So, but it's awesome. And it's kind of technical, this one. It's about how to run the ship. It shares terminology, what's a halyard, what's a sheet, and all this other stuff. So anyhow, I'm loving it. That's the book I'm reading. A Sale of Two Idiots. I highly recommend it.
That's awesome. Have you sailed before?
No.
Okay.
And I get so seasick. It's not even funny. I would have to do one of those patches, even when we go on a cruise. But I love the water. I love being on the water. But I can't understand basic principles of sailing. So I'm currently exploring a sailing school.
Wow.
That will take you for a week. You pay for a week. It's like $2,000, and you go stay at this right on the water, and they teach you how to sail. And
wow,
I'm trying to save up for that and convince my wife to let me go. Actually, I'm trying to convince her to come with me. But she doesn't like the water like I do. So anyhow, I'm trying to learn to sail.
Interesting. Oh, that's amazing. I know. I think there's a lot of times two different people in this world. We're either water people or mountain or more like nature people. And it's funny because I can sit on the beach for about 3 days, and then after that I need to be doing something. So I definitely more in nature and mountains and adventure versus the water, but there's so much good energy coming from that water, and I can understand why you're a water guy, man.
I'm all about the water, and I'm an Aquarius, so
that makes sense.
Kind of fits hand in hand.
That makes sense. February baby, yes.
Yep.
That's awesome. All right. Well, talk to us about how, almost 20 years ago, when you felt like you escaped corporate America and decided to, make your life in real estate, and how that really has driven your goals through these years.
So the interesting thing is, when we first got married, we've been married, be 33 years this June. But when we first got married, we rented an apartment And then after 2 years, we bought a house. And after we bought the house, my wife said, you could do that. You should do that. Like be a real estate agent. And I was
Sure.
like, what, you crazy? I don't know anything about it, and it was some old guy who was wearing literally white shoes and like plaid golf pants, had the big comb over. He was like so old school. And I was
You
like,
just
there's no
gotten off a
way.
sailboat, maybe.
Yeah. But I was looking at him going, there's no way I want to be that guy. So anyhow, fast forward many years later, a good friend of mine up in Denver, his name's Bill Leeper.
Yeah,
He
you've
told me
mentioned it
he was
before.
getting, Bill, yeah.
Yep.
Other than my wife, probably my best friend on the planet. So, but Bill got his real estate license, and I thought, man, if he could do it, I could do it. And I was sick and tired of corporate America at that point, all the backstabbing, the politics, and I was in middle management, so I was getting it from above, getting it from below. And my wife was like, yeah, do it. And it's almost like she'd been telling me to do it, in her mind for years.
Yeah.
So I finally took the leap, and it changed everything. It changed everything. Just that freedom of having my own company, being able to go on vacation when we want to go on vacation, and couple that with my wife homeschooled our kids. So
amazing.
yeah. So anyhow, it really just changed everything. We were able to do anything we wanted when we wanted to do it. It was wonderful. So
yeah. Well, in this changing environment, obviously you've gone through some big changes a few times. 2008, 2000, 2020, I mean, all of the things. So through all of these big changes, how do you feel like you continue to stay top of mind, as you mentioned in your bio?
Well, my whole approach, like you read, is working by referral. And I'll do 30 to 35 transactions a year in real estate. So I'm not one of the big top producers doing 100 deals. But of all those transactions, maybe one is somebody who found me through a sign that I had in a yard, or maybe they saw a Facebook post. But the vast majority, like over 90% consistently, 93, 94% is referred to me. And so it's just a matter of finding ways to serve people in different ways. And I do it through phone calls. Just call them, hey, how's it going? How's the house that they bought maybe a couple of years ago? And just checking in with people.
Yeah.
And then also handwritten notes. Like I have these just sitting on my desk, and I can pop it open and send somebody a card, which is really unusual. Who writes a handwritten note anymore, right?
I do, actually, but yeah, I understand.
Yeah, you do. I've gotten your notes, and I hope you've gotten mine. But
yes.
It's that way. And then I do different client events, even through COVID. We found ways to do a touchless, contactless way of bringing people together still and continuing to serve them. So it's really just staying top of mind through those things. I also, as you know, have done business mixers. Yes. Where we just get a bunch of different business owners in the same room. And it's the contacting people for those different events that keeps me top of mind. And so fortunately was able to do that during COVID even. So that was really nice.
Yeah, so, you're a rebel. You were meeting people when you couldn't, right?
Oh, you're right. And even the mask I wore said, caution, this does not protect you from COVID-19.
I remember, and that's why we became friends.
Kindred spirits, my friend.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And so I know that you've always been really big on marketing and things like that for your business, and you've done a great job with that. Obviously, you're great with the relationships. And so, this being Fun Friday and also based in my business, a creative business, how do you bring more creativity and fuel that marketing and putting it into your efforts?
Well, a lot of the creativity manifests itself. They kind of create their own opportunities through problem solving.
Sure.
And so I tend to try to be very collaborative with other people and build on their ideas. So when a problem presents itself, instead of agonizing over, well, how did this happen? Who are we going to blame for this? It's like, no, forget about that. Let's what's the problem? And then I say, what needs to happen? What do we need? We need something signed. We need something written. What do we need?
Right.
And just drill a hole through everything, and then talk to the other agent, because usually there's another agent involved.
Right.
And I call them and go, hey man, what do you think we should do? Got any ideas? And I kind of take collaboration to the Star Trek level, Star Trek The Next Generation. I love The Next Generation because, they always, at the beginning of the show, they face some kind of problem. And then Picard would call everybody into the ready room. The captain would call everybody in, and he'd sit all of his experts down and say, situation. And they'd tell him what's going on. And then he'd say, this was the key to the whole show. He'd say, options. And then people would start shouting out different options.
Yeah.
And then they would build on each other's ideas and stuff. And honestly, that was kind of my role model for problem solving. But that whole idea of, I don't know the answers. Don't look at me. What do you think we should do? Well, that doesn't exactly work. What if we did that this way?
Sure.
So that kind of creativity. And when something is just not going to work, trying to make the best of it and see it in the best light. And then also one of the things I've started doing, and I'm going to do this on Facebook, is finding just something other than real estate to make videos about. And I've already made the first set. So one of the other ways I keep creativity in my business is by having a business coach, because having a coach is critical, because you need an infusion of ideas. If I'm just left to me, ask my wife this, if I'm just left to me, it's going to burn down. There's nothing there, because I have 100 different ideas and I can't wrangle them in, but she'll help me add, shape to it. But my business coach, I was having a coaching call with him, and I don't know if you mind if I go into this or not.
This is great.
It's a long time. So I was talking with my coach, and he was like, well, how's your production been? Have you been making calls? You've been writing notes? You've been talking to people? And I said, yeah, but I'm getting really distracted. And he said, what's distracting you? And I said, my garden. I said, it's springtime. I want to be out there playing in the dirt, Yeah. And he said, well, can't you put those two together, real estate and gardening? And I was like, what? And he said,
awesome.
He said, Ray, you're good on video. So you're almost too comfortable on video. And he said,
that's not possible.
And he said, why don't you make a series of videos about your garden and put it on Facebook? And he said, those people that you're connected with who are into gardening will go deeper with you because of that.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my gosh, thank you for giving me permission to do that.
Yes.
Because I always feel guilty playing in the garden because I'm not being productive, right?
Oh, no. That actually makes you more productive, because it gives you a chance to, let your brain rest and get into that space of feeling more creative. For you with gardening, I imagine it's a matter of putting things in the right space where they're not going to compete with each other, but yet they're going to kind of help each other bloom naturally, and colors that flow well together. So I think that's really beautiful, because that brings out creative ideas. But exactly what your coach was saying, I resonate with that too, of being able to share what you're interested in, because then someone else is going to share about that. So what is a gardening tip that you have that you'd like to share with us then? Obviously we all need to wait till after Mother's Day. We've heard that a million times.
That's right.
But what's one other tip?
Before I give you a tip, how much time do we have? Before I give you...
Yeah, we have some time.
Because we can go as long as we want, right? People will just stop watching when they want to stop watching. But before I give you the gardening tip, I want to comment on what you said, because you said, yeah, you agree with what my coach said. Well, for me, that was a lights came on moment. It hadn't occurred to me. And so I need that infusion of ideas. That's why, seriously, why I need a coach, and I have to have a coach. So it's very important. But we need that infusion of new ideas. And for him to give me permission to do that, I thought he was just being permissive, but then it came together and I was like, oh yeah, this does work. It makes sense.
No, that's exactly why I share about my hiking adventures all the time, because it's a space where I feel super grounded, super fueled. And yet those are things I can share with people as well. And if they resonate with it, fantastic. Then I've shared a new idea or something. If not, then that's okay too. Then that may not, maybe they're not who I need to help, right?
Yeah, maybe they're not your mission field, so
Right.
so
Right.
gardening tip,
Yes,
it's all about the soil.
of
That's
course.
the gardening tip. And
Okay.
there's dirt and there's soil. Dirt is dead, no organic material, it's just dirt. But soil is rich with nutrients and microbes. Now, I don't understand the science of soil. I just know where to buy it. And and I
Okay, that's fair.
create my own. I've got 2 composts running in the backyard. I mean, I could never produce enough for my garden, so I have to buy to augment. But to
Sure.
augment your soil every year and always try to improve it, and you can customize the content. You can augment the soil with more phosphorus, or something like that for a specific type of vegetable, that you're trying to grow. I'm a vegetable gardener, not a flower gardener. So,
Okay, interesting. Good to
but it's
know.
all about the soil. And even in the Bible, Jesus tells this parable of the sower sowing seeds, and everybody thinks it's about the seeds. It's not. It's about the soil. It's all about the soil. Always about the soil.
Sure. Yeah. But I mean, there's a lot of good analogies in what you're talking about too, because good, rich soil, that's nutrients, that creates deep roots. And deep roots give us good connections to what we need to plant and grow, right? So there's a really good analogy around all of that. And so I think gardening is a great space for
Well,
you to continue to your space of creativity.
yeah, and removing weeds.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many deep thoughts I've had about, things in my life that need to be removed as I'm out there pulling weeds, going, wow, this is, if I could just weed my life
Yeah.
and, weed my mind of
Right.
the stuff that's distracting and in the way that's not wanted. If I can get rid of that, how much more productive would my life be? So, huge
Whoa.
analogy.
That's deep, man. That's
And I need to write a
awesome.
book. The weeds.
I know,
Getting out
right?
of the
I mean,
weeds.
I feel like you've got a book in you. I'm waiting to hear your announcements that you're going to start launching a book.
Nobody wants to read that book. It's a horror story.
No. There'd be a lot of people that would want to read your book because again, you've been incredibly influential for a lot of people through your entire career, but beyond that, that's the person you are. You have a giving heart, and I think that that's really amazing. So writing a book just gives you another platform to share the wealth of knowledge that is exploding in your brain.
Well, all the publishers watching, anybody call me, I'll take bids. We'll do it.
I love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. So what are you working on right now as far as Q2 goals? I mean, we're exactly in the middle of Q2 right now. And what is that looking like for you as far as being able to say, you know what, I'm hitting my markers, or I've got some things that are still in the works?
Well, it's interesting. I'm at a point in my career where I have enough momentum, I think, where business comes to me. I don't take it for granted because I still try to stay top of mind if I'm still marketing,
Yeah.
but I'm not desperate for business. And I'm thankful for that. And I'm hitting the point, Jackie, where one of my goals is to slow down. Now that
Love
doesn't
it.
mean do less business.
Yeah.
It means just to slow down my personal
Okay.
pace
Yeah.
and to make more memories, have more fun.
Yeah.
I'm not about to die or anything. I probably still got another 30 years on this planet before I have to worry about that. But there's more fun to be had. And I posted a thing on Facebook the other day. I don't know if you saw it, but it said, we weren't born to just pay bills and then die.
No.
Born to work and pay bills and die.
Correct.
And that's becoming more and more real to me as I look at the future. I just
Yeah.
there's a lot of things I want to do while I'm healthy, and I can walk and I can climb and I can swim. So that's one of my goals, is to do more of that stuff.
Awesome.
But
Awesome.
one of the other goals is to continue to try to make my clients feel like they're my only client, to give them that level of attention and care, because it's really important. They need to know this is a huge transaction, and we're talking about getting into people's houses, where they live, where they argue, where they love, where they create their memories. And what an honor to be involved in that selection process.
Yeah.
And so I need to know I'm paying attention, but they need to know that I'm trying to help them think through the selection that they're making as well. So just to make sure that I'm still treating them like they're my only client is a big deal.
Yeah.
So So that's kind of what I'm working
so
on.
you do that by helping them, with just the things that you do, the touch points that you do and things like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, and advising them as
Advising.
they're planning their housing.
Okay.
These big, you've heard this from me before, but the big
Yeah.
transitions in life tend to prompt a need for a change in housing. Like they
Yeah.
get married, they get divorced, they have a baby, they lose a parent. It's kind of these opposite things. They get a new job in town, so they're moving here, or they took a job out of town. So these big transitions, these are big life events.
Yeah.
And so there's times when you're plugged in as a real estate agent at some very emotional, both very sad and very exciting and happy times. And to make sure they know that you're engaged, you're right there with them, is very important. Not just to like convince them of that, but to actually be there with them. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. It does. It
Okay.
absolutely does. And so how do you feel like you continue to help them feel at ease when there's things that are beyond your control inside the market?
The biggest thing I found is that, picture stress as a mountain, stress mountain. The more people know, the more information they have,
Sure.
most of the time it takes them down stress mountain, gets them on a lower spot. And figured that was a good analogy for you as a hiker. So
yeah. I love that. That's awesome.
So I try to inform, I try to educate, and I try to pull questions out and make it very safe for them to ask the hard questions. I want them to ask me about my fee. I want them to ask me, why did I advise them that way? Because if they're suspicious or suspecting that I did something in my own interest instead of theirs, I want to know that. And so I try to make it very safe for them to ask those kind of questions. So
that's awesome. I love that. So where do you see, aside from slowing the pace down, where do you see yourself in your business going in the next 3, 5, 10 years?
I'm kind of cruising for homeostasis at this point. I just want to hit a level, find that comfortable stride,
sure.
And have some resources in place. And actually, I'm very excited. I don't know if I should share this or not, but one of my kids has talked about coming and joining me in the business.
Oh,
and
that's interesting.
Wouldn't that be awesome? And
yes.
So I've, as a real estate agent, you think about, am I eventually going to retire? And I'm sure I will at some point, but not completely. Why would I ever stop going out and meeting people and doing things? That would just waste away. But as I get older and as I get farther down that path, closer to retirement, I'm going to want to do less of the business myself.
Sure.
And so if I have one of my own kids that that I know and trust, who will do business like I've done with the same value system, that I can start handing some of that business off to, that's amazing. Perfect. Yeah.
It's a beautiful legacy.
Until this one of my kids, I don't want to say whether it's male or female, but until they approached me about it, I was trying to think, my gosh, how am I going to find another real estate agent that I can trust enough to hand, people off to?
Sure.
So, and sorry, my allergies are bugging me. But so anyhow, I think over the next 2 to 3 years, when they come on board, to start engaging, educating on the technical side, they've got the relational side down pat. So
that's awesome.
They're a natural. So
they learned that from their dad,
and they got the heart for it too. Yeah, they probably did.
You're no stranger to anybody, right?
That's right. Well, why would I want to be strangers?
Right, exactly. Well, awesome. I think that's a good leeway into, well, what do you have coming up next then? What do you want to share about in your business, and how do people get in touch with you then moving forward?
Oh, so email and phone call. I'm old school, I do have a web presence, but it's not like I really care about it. But I put a group together called Money Matters.
Okay.
And the S at the end of the word matters is a $. But we don't have a website or anything, but we are doing every month, except May will be our last month until September, because we take the summer off. But
Sure.
every month we have a speaker who talks about some financial aspect of life. So the first one we did was what's going on in the real estate market. The second one we did was, I think it was for first-time home buyers. So if you have a first-time home buyer in your family and you want to help them buy a house, or they want to buy a house, how do you do that? So it was educational there. We had a financial planner get on and talk. We're going to have a tax person talk in September. This month is going to be an insurance person talking about insurance, because a lot of people treat insurance like a commodity, like a necessary evil. But it's actually a great thing to consider and to protect yourself for many reasons, but I'll let him talk about that. But anyhow, we do it on the 4th Tuesday of every month. So I know it's coming up here, and I'll start advertising that on my Facebook page. Is it coming up? 26th?
So May 23rd then. May 23rd.
23rd. Okay. And so we'll have that coming up, and we're going to do that in May. Then we'll take June, July, and August off. In September, we'll start again. But that's kind of a new fun thing. And we do it all on Zoom.
Nice.
So it's a webcast. So people just log in, and then they can ask questions, that kind of thing. So it's a lot of fun. We enjoy that.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Well, and you can see behind Ray some contact info there as well. That sign is right there to be able to connect with Ray. So I know recently, Ray, I appreciate your support that you've had with me as well. You attended my Ignite Your Creativity webinar. Yes. And I just wanted to, if you don't mind, just sharing, one thing that you came away from that webinar and part of the aha moment that you had.
Yeah. There was so much great content in that, Jackie. It was really a lot of fun. And I love watching you present. You have the same positive energy, moving things forward. That's why you and I click so well. I love being connected with you business-wise and personally. It's really cool. But the biggest aha moment for me was, because one of the things you focus in on is getting people to identify and define their why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And my aha moment wasn't so much defining my why, but realizing that my why is changing.
Yes.
In a big way. Because think about this. So we have one child left at home finishing up college, and he's going to be done in December in a nursing program.
Wow.
So, but as all our kids have left, it's me and my wife. It's just the two of us, right? So when we first got married, it was just the two of us. But we had our first kid after 2 years of marriage.
Sure.
And so we only had 2 years to kind of discover each other and learn. And now here we are 33 years later. We've grown and we've changed, right?
Sure, of course.
But during most of that 33 years, my why was support the children, make sure nobody starves to death, make sure they're safe. And my whole focus, my whole why was the kids and my wife. And now the kid component, we're always going to be a parent, but the kid component is greatly diminished. And my wife and I are rediscovering who are we, who have we become, and now what do we want to do?
Yeah.
And it's awesome. But that's what I walked away from with with your webinar. It was fantastic.
Good. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I love that you had mentioned that it was, a bit thought provoking, and I love that you put some thought behind that. And now things do shift. Your life, just as you mentioned in real estate, people go through transitions. Well, those transitions help you change your person as well as who you are becoming ultimately, and what your goals are different. And so
it's
your why is going to be different.
And it's okay to change, and it's okay for my wife to change, and it's okay for her to let me change, right? And it's okay for our kids to change.
Yes.
As long as it's for the better, we need to help each other stay focused on good stuff. But that was huge, and I really appreciated that about that, Jackie. Thank you for that. That was a huge gift you gave me.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that very much. So, well, anything else before I dive into what I have coming up for Jaycox Coaching? What else? And one more thing that you would like to share at all about creativity or fun or anything like that you want to just one more thing?
Well, for anybody who's interested, my Facebook page is Ray Brown Homes.
Yes.
Okay. And then my Instagram is Ray Brown Online, which most of my Instagram stuff comes from Facebook. I just like click to share to Facebook when it lets me. I don't understand why it does and doesn't sometimes. But I will be doing the gardening series on that page. And so anyhow, but that's really the biggest thing. And hopefully that'll keep me creative and fun and loose and exciting and having a good time.
Well, it definitely will. I mean, like you said, there's so many analogies and really good things about gardening. I myself have black thumbs, unfortunately. Both my grandmothers, they had flower gardens as well as vegetable gardens, and I'm not either, but I understand how good being in the soil and being connected to that ground. It literally grounds you. So,
and the other thing is I'm going to be directing a play. I'm going to be directing The Odd Couple. So we have auditions coming up June 6th and 7th, I think. And then, but we'll rehearse all summer and then perform mid-August. So I'm very excited about that. And just doing those kind of things keeps me, infused with new ideas and stuff. So it helps bring creativity, like you said, bring up your mind and all that stuff.
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yes, I got to attend Matilda last summer and it was amazing that you directed. So I want to be there for this one as well.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right. So real quick, as we wrap up here, I have a couple things coming up for Jaycox Coaching. So I have a Create Balance Women's Day Retreat coming up on Friday, June 9th, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that is up at our geodesic home in Conifer. So if that is of interest to you, you can go to swirlsllc.com. Go to my events page. You'll find the retreat there. And then I do, so I have something for men and women as well. I do have a 12-week coaching program that is coming up in June. And so, to kind of enhance what Ray was talking about with the webinar, we talk about your why, we talk about how creativity shows up for you. And then we also talk about creating more balance and more fun and getting that ebb and flow and being more present in several different areas of your life. So that'll be starting in June. So again, head to my website, swirlsllc.com, and you'll figure out where you can connect with me on that. So Ray, thank you so much for coming on today. Really appreciate you and your time and your energy. I love it. I love all your creative ideas as well. That's super awesome. So thank you for joining me on Fun Friday today.
Well, thank you for letting me be here. As you know, I was afraid I was going to kill your program. I destroyed one time, so.
No, it's all good. So thanks, everybody. And I'm going to stop the recording, but have a great day. Happy Fun Friday. Okay.